Welcome to Upgrade. I'm your host, Frank the Tank, and today, before you buy a Surface 3 laptop, take a look at this review and you decide if it's even worth it for you. So we're going to take a look at it, a couple things that are necessary for those that are working at home or are planning to work at home, and you're going to want to be traveling in down the line. You want to buy something that's easy, durable, and not too much over your budget. So we're going to take a look at some of the options you can do, and we're going to compare with other systems. So before you buy a Surface, maybe you want to take a look at this. And if I do help you in any kind of way, please subscribe and help the show out. So let's go ahead and take a look. It's pretty long, so we're going to talk about 13 by 10, of course, and we have a 15-inch monitor here. Keyboard. It's pretty quiet, not that bad. And this side right here, there's only one input, and this is actually for charging the actual system and for the docking station. We're also going to take a look at the docking station too on this system. Unfortunately, there's not that many USB. That's a fallback on this machine for the people that have necessary needs for other accessories. Like we're looking at the extra USB for the mouse, a keyboard, and so forth. But unfortunately, not even a webcam you can do. Only one input. If you do want something like this, you're going to have to buy a docking station for it. We're going to take a look at that too. All right, let's start in the side of the Surface. All right, first of all, if you guys can see, here is a 3.5 jack right here. It's followed by a USB type C. All right, it's not the 3.1, it's a 3.0, I believe. This one's a USB, a regular USB right here, and that's about it. This is all you're going to get from the whole system, if you notice. So it's really slick. I'm actually lifting it up so you guys can see better lighting. So that's the only fallback on this. There's not that much connection. All right, as you can see, the camera for any kind of special occasions, like if you're doing online classes or if you're going to be training or teaching or presenting, this is pretty much the quality you're going to get. It's HD, but it's at 720. You can't get any higher than that. The audio itself, I'm recording straight to the audio, the mics it has, and it has a light setting too. But the quality of it, if you notice the lighting, it's a little bit off the color, but it's the pixelation that shows like that from one end to the other. But other than that, this is a really good camera for audio and to record and to present, because sometimes when you're doing these kind of presentations, you're going to hear the fan on older machines because it's using a lot of the GPU and the CPU. If it's, especially it's a gaming machine, it's going to use a lot of the GPU, and you're going to hear fans. In this case, this machine is very quiet, very easy to use, and the mic picks up right away. Occasionally when you have issues is where you set up the third-party hardware. This means a Bluetooth headset or any kind of any other hardware that you have around, because the system only has a default, but you have to go in there and change it every time you have your headset, your mic, and that's kind of a common theme for all the machines. But occasionally that's the number one issue I have. It's just the audio, that people have a third-party audio, even their iPods, their Microsoft headsets, or their gaming sets. Those things are a little bit more harder to deal with sometimes, and it's best just to leave it in using the original camera and the original audio. But other than that, it works really well for what you need it for. So let's continue on with the rest of the test. Other than that, when I put it under pressure, it was running really well. I actually wanted to get higher decibels of audio meter, but it didn't go higher than 50. It was always below 40, 50, 47. It never got to 50. It was always below 50. So that's one thing I like about it when I was running the test. Really quiet. So that means when you're on the Zoom call, you'll be able to actually hear the other person now, and they're not going to hear your fans. On some of these systems, older systems, you're able to hear the fans running in the background, but in this case it's pretty quiet and very neat, and I like the response on it. Really awesome, especially on the touchscreen. Now the only thing that you cannot avoid is that you're going to scratch this, all right? Especially if you get a darker color or any kind of color. I mean, these are prone to actually get fingerprint smears everywhere. They're going to get dirty. They're going to get scratched. Little items, little tiny rocks will scratch the whole system. Now the monitor itself, It doesn't get scratched that easy because they're a little thicker than that. It's like a Gorilla Glass pretty much. Touchscreen is very simple, but if you happen to end up dropping this in a corner or by the actual screen, you're going to get it damaged. I mean, and to replace the screen, it's not easy. You're going to pay a penalty fee. There's like $600-700 on the cost of the actual transfer. You're going to have to send this out. It's going to take maybe 3 or 4 weeks before you get the item back. The cost before was $500. It raised up like another $100, but please check with your local vendor in order to find out the prices on that. Now, to remove the screen is not easy. It's not something you can do. You need a professional to do that. Now, upgrading the system is another problem. So once you buy, you cannot add any memory or any additional space or nothing. It's pretty much as is. Now, they do sell 16, that's maximum. They from 8 to 16, and that's it. There's no 32. They don't have any models yet, but the 32, maybe the next generation is going to have it. Now, we did open one of these in the past, and everything was secure and covered, even the M.2. Now, in this case, if you need to recover stuff, you just got to make sure you don't have BitLocker installed. If you do have BitLocker installed, you got to make sure you have that BitLocker key in order to do that. A lot of these corporations actually add BitLocker now for extra security, especially these machines. People are traveling, they forget their machines all the time. And in order for making sure you secure it properly, the data, you have to install BitLocker. If you don't know about BitLocker, we could do a video demonstration on that part and take you into more details. Now, in order to upgrade or any changes to the system, you're not going to be able to. Everything's embedded, everything's soldered in there. Other than the actual M.2, it's not soldered in. You could take that in there, but everything else and pretty much is in place. And I suggest if you're going to buy one of these machines, make sure you have it up to date with everything. Talking about the memory and the actual additional space. Now, they do have different space in the systems available. They have the 256 and they have the 520. Now, we end up getting the 500, but 512. So we're actually running at 512 right now. But like I said, if you run out of space, this is pretty much it. That's why where Microsoft comes in, you have to buy extra, maybe cloud space for that, for those particular items, and then you could save them to the cloud. That's another option. Now, the second option is external drives. That's pretty much it. So no other choice but to even live with an external drive or put it to the cloud. And most of these systems are based for cloud usage, right? So these are related with Microsoft products, and they're going to pop up every time, and they're going to ask you for additional information if you want to start uploading or downloading. But that depends on your pricing and depends on your company that they're doing different quotes on their different accounts. Now, one thing I noticed on these machines, the biggest problem I have with these machines is that the keyboard starts giving up for some reason. Now, there is no warranty on it unless you buy an additional warranty or you have the additional warranty from the purchase. Now, these machines, the problem I see a lot of these things is that they start breaking down easily. The problem I had with one of them was that the touchscreen gave up on it and it wasn't working at all. Now, the customer did want us to fix it. It was impossible. We had to send it in. Microsoft had to make some changes and they send it back. Fortunately, that thing worked, but other systems that try to mimic this have a lot worse than it is. So this machine so far, touchscreen wise and thinness and travel wise, it's one of the best ones out there. If you have additional power need for a 3-dimensional or anything higher, I don't recommend this machine. Gaming, it's not for gaming. Students is a perfect machine for students, teachers, and faculty. This is a great item. So we're going to go ahead and compare it with a Mac, and then we're going to compare it with a Dell 7400 all-in-one. So Dell tried to do something similar to it, but it kind of failed on there. And this one has a way head start compared to that one. So let's take a look. With a Surface, with a MacBook Pro. This is an older MacBook Pro, but you can see this here too in comparison. It is actually thicker than the actual Surface. This is a lot heavier. The real estate on it, it's about the same thing, but this one actually could bend a little more. It's about the same kind of bend, pretty much. You know, they bent the same thing. They had the same item. A lot of the technology on this Surface was copied from the actual Mac, where you have the heat vents pushing up. It's the same thing. Heat vents are right here. So when you actually face the monitor forward, the heat vents push to the back. but about the same kind of heat sensor as the same kind of heat as the actual Surface. So in comparison, this is a lot heavier, a lot thicker, and of course, aluminum base. A lot of it's aluminum base, very durable. I dropped it once or twice and it still runs, but has the same kind of damage. It could get the same kind of damage in the monitor if you drop it at certain points. So overall, the Surface is a lot thinner, but the Mac's a lot more durable. And you can upgrade the older versions of the Mac. Now the new version, the 2021, there's a lot of parts you cannot upgrade. You're gonna have to buy as it is. So they're turning out more. They're taking more of the same concept as the Surface, where a lot of parts are not replaceable, and it's pretty much you buy as is. Let's take a look at this model here. If you guys could see it, this is the actual Surface, and we're gonna go ahead and show you guys the actual Dell 7400. Look at the size. This is to compare it to it. You know, massive size. Now, this one only could swing back to 40 degrees, 45. This one could actually rotate and become an actual tablet to use and write. Now, pen wise, the Surface has a way better touch sensor pen, but Dell's catching up, man. They're already setting up themselves for the next model where they're going to have a lot of best sensor. Now, issues with this Dell, I had multiple, where the touchscreen ended up dying on us. This fingerprint thing doesn't really work very well. This one doesn't even have one to begin with. The space itself, this one has a lot more space, real estate for this one. This one actually lasts less battery because this one knows how to conserve battery on the system, has less moving components, which this one has a higher CPU, of course, more it's a lot better than the actual Surface, but Surface made for more performance on Excel sheets, spreadsheets, and stuff like that. This one could actually do some graphical stuff because of the CPU and a couple cores that it has above the Surface, of course. Now, the keyboard itself is a lot smaller compared to it, and the unit itself is a lot thicker than the actual Surface. So we're looking at a couple. I'm going to show you guys here, demonstrate how thick it is, and put it down. I'm putting a USB thumb reader, and you can see it's a lot thicker, and they're actually in the same area, which is crazy, you know, because it's a lot thicker. All right, we're gonna go ahead and do a test on how much heat is generated out of the system. You notice it all generates within here, and it's within the battery and also the vents that's blowing out. Right now we're at 91 to 90, so it's around 90, and it's pretty concentrated on this area, on the corner area, if you guys see it. But the rest, the keyboard's all blue. And look at my hand. This is hot, and I'm at 97, so it's body temperature. It's keeping it cool right now. But we're gonna put it to the test, where we're going to do a bench test and see how strong it is, and if it gets hotter than 90, 92. And look at the monitor itself. It's very cool. Everything's cool already as it is. We're not putting any pressure on it or anything like that, but we're going to see how it runs when you put a benchmark running in the background, and it's going to push it to its limits. So that's what I want to see. So let's go ahead and do that test next. We're going to do the stress test right now. So I'm running a program to push it to the limit, and it's going up to 98, 99. We're getting up there. So this is a stress test, and it's going pretty hot, as you can see. I'm also doing a sound test at the same time, if you can notice. Now, the Surface overall has been a really good system, and generations from the first generation to this generation to a laptop, there has been many changes to it, and they're getting better and better. But the lack that this one has, I wish it had more USBs inside, at least a 3.0 USB instead of an A version. If you have C, maybe I would have thrown another type C in there. There's plenty of room for other stuff that they can include, but they just don't want to throw in the kitchen sink yet. I guess it's for the next model. And I think they're going to completely remove every single module on the side, every single port on the side sooner or later. The only port that you have right now that's going to be available is going to be the charging station. Now, the camera is not the greatest camera, but for what you need it for. If you're going to start using for meetings, training, and any kind of school activity, that's a perfect solution. Very quiet. Overall, the machines that I review here, it's the quietest machine from all. Heat wise, it knows how to dispense the heat pretty good. Now, number one issues that I've seen on these machines is the battery. Doesn't happen immediately. After 2 or 3 years of using the machine, some machines overheat so much that the battery swells up and it actually pushes the actual case or it cracks the bottom and you'll see some little opening. That's when things go wrong that you cannot do anything about it. And that's where you're going to have to either replace the battery, send it into Microsoft. Unfortunately, a lot of things that you see now these days that batteries are not easy to send, especially if they're damaged. It could start a fire and it could be a hazard. I did a couple of reviews on a couple of systems that actually the battery's swollen up. And if you guys want to check them out, they're on my links below. I will put it there. But these systems, once they get to that point, they're not replaceable. Some of these things, it's just you got to replace the whole item on this. Unfortunately, there's not that much upgrades you can do on this machine. A lot of people want to add extra memory, extra space. Unfortunately, they don't have that in here. Hopefully in the future they'll start getting more accessories, more easy access to everybody to upgrade, but unfortunately this machine cannot do that at this point. So if you have any questions or any comments, let me know. I'm your host, Frank the Tank, and we're out.